Hey, 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 everybody. It's Friday, not Thursday, but you still know what that means. That's right. It's episode 74 of the Real Deal Pod with Allister and Geoff. I am Allister Carrington, your trusted realtor, alongside your main man, our main man, Geoff Lee, our trusted lender, our mortgage guru. And it is a cool and wet Friday morning, but do not fear, we are here to bring the warmth and the heat, whether it be at your workplace, on your drive, or at your workplace, or in your home, because I think I said workplace twice. We are here to sit alongside you and keep you warm. Geoff, my man, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, coming off of a Blue Jay run there, and
Congratulations to them for making the World Series.
yeah, it's gonna be great. Picked up a Blue Jay hat, gonna jump on that bandwagon here for a bit.
There you
Picked up
go.
my ankles, ready to go, and had a terrific birthday weekend.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Turned the double nickels, as they say, and all ready for the golden years to set on.
Well, you're looking good, man. You're looking good.
I know.
I wouldn't say you don't look a
You know,
day over 25, my man. Day over
um,
25.
I wish people need to watch our pod versus hear our pod. Then they could say, yes, he looks 55 plus.
No, buddy. No, buddy. But if you want to watch it, always hit up YouTube.
Yeah.
Always hit up YouTube. Awesome, my man. Yeah, well, I had a pretty relaxing weekend. Had a couple of showings out at my listing in Richmond, which some interesting stuff is going on. We'll get into that in a few minutes here, but getting prepped for Halloween and those little kids coming by to got to make sure I got enough candy to hand out. Because you know what Halloween is, right? It's the one day that you make sure you feed these kids, you give these kids enough candy so they don't egg or do anything atrocious to your home the rest of the year. It's like it's paying protection money. It's like the mafia. That's what it is.
Yeah. I won't even go into my early childhood Christmas stories and egging buses, but you know what? That's a whole new
I'll
podcast.
tell you, I will say though, I remember once when I was a kid, we were awful. For those people that hand out apples, be careful because we used to rip them back at the house. If you gave us an apple in our bag, we used to take that apple and then throw it back at the house. Don't do that, kids. It's inappropriate. It's
No,
inappropriate. Well, man, let's not dilly-dally. Oh man, that phrase hasn't been used in a long time, man.
it's my era. That's my
Right?
era.
That is, right? We're heading back in time. But let's not waste any time. Let's get into it and let's kick it with podcast's hottest segment, and that is
Did you
that's right.
know?
Did you know? Did you know is going to be a little bit different today because it's a little bit of a educational piece. Because as I was saying, something interesting has gone on in Richmond. Over the past several months, one particular legal decision has captured the attention of homeowners, municipal leaders, and First Nations communities alike. And that is that the BC Supreme Court ruling that granted Aboriginal title to the Cowichan Nation over approximately 7.5 square kilometers of land on Lulu Island in Richmond. And for those of you that don't know, Lulu Island is it's land alongside the Fraser River in Richmond. So it runs right around Blundell and Nelson Road and stuff like that. It's more of the industrial part that runs in towards the residential, which is why this letter of notice went out to businesses and private property owners. So the ruling and reactions that it has sparked carry significant implications for both private property ownership and Indigenous land rights in British Columbia. And as realtors, homeowners, and community members, it's essential that we understand not only what this means, but also why it matters. So I know, Geoff, your next question is, what happened? And that is what I am now going to get into. So earlier this year, a BC Supreme Court judge recognized Aboriginal title, for the Cowichan tribes over specific land across the Fraser River in Richmond. And this is historic because it's the first time a court in the Lower Mainland has affirmed Aboriginal title in urbanized area. So normally, as we know, we have native land and we have treaty land. But in a majority of the urbanized areas, it's always been freehold. And so this is where, for the first time now, a Supreme Court has said, no, 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 this freehold land is not freehold land. It is now native land.
Not now, but has been.
But has, well, it is registered though as freehold land. So now this is where they're changing it, and this is why these letters were sent out. So the court found that the Crown's granting of private land titles in this area infringed upon Cowichan's Aboriginal title, meaning the legal process that originally transferred land ownership to private citizens was invalid from a constitutional standpoint. And so, just so that you know, the land title rights in BC were established in stages. The Royal Proclamation of 1763 acknowledged Aboriginal land title. The colony of Vancouver Island began issuing land titles in 1850 and 1860s, and the modern Torrens systems, which is what we use now, for land registration was formally established in 1905. So what they're saying is that when British Columbia started handing out these titles, it didn't follow any of those systems, and so it's being rendered invalid.
When you say rendered invalid, we're talking
that it didn't follow the process, and so it shouldn't have been made freehold, and it should have been made native lease land or native land. It should have been treated as native land, and it belonged to the Cowichan people.
So question.
Yes.
What is the size of land that we're talking? Like, are we talking, I think you said 7.5 kilometers?
7.5 kilometers of land, right?
Right. Along the Fraser River called
Lulu Island.
Right. And how many homes are within the 7.5 kilometers?
Well, we're going to get into that. I believe right now it was 150 letters that were sent out. I believe it was 150 letters were sent out. So that's 150 people that are being affected right now. But now they're having a discussion on October the 28th. It was initially only supposed to be a discussion with those members, but it's now been broadened to the people of Richmond itself. So they're actually having a town hall in Richmond to discuss what is going on. But let me get back into it. So, importantly, what I want to backtrack to is that the Cowichan Nation did not seek to have the existing private property owners' titles revoked. So that is the part that I want everybody to understand, is that when this ruling came about, it wasn't because the Cowichan Nation wanted this land back. It was actually the Supreme Court recognizing that the Crown did not follow the rules, and now the Crown must find a resolution either through negotiation, litigation, or purchase to reconcile these overlapping interests. So now the Crown has to either give a whole schwack load of money to the Cowichan Nation, or they have to buy back these properties from the private owners and then reissue the leases properly, which will of course turn it back into native land. So 125, sorry, and I'm getting into the next part. So what does this mean for property owners? So the city of Richmond hand-delivered notices to approximately 125 effective homeowners on Lulu Island, inviting them to a meeting on October 28th to discuss the court's decision and potential implications. And like I said, now they've opened that up now to general public to come so that they can understand just what's going on. So understandably, this has raised concern among property owners and city officials. Richmond Mayor Malcolm Brodie has voiced that the ruling could undermine the land title program in British Columbia, suggesting that allowing Aboriginal title and fee simple title, the form of ownership most property owners hold, to coexist could create uncertainty in real estate and land law. In response, the City of Richmond, the Province of British Columbia, and the Musqueam Nation have all filed appeals of the decision, seeking clarity from the higher courts. So this is now where they're saying, what does this do to our land title system, and how now do we as realtors and we as the public have confidence within it? So the broader context is a step toward reconciliation or division. So while the local governments and property owners have expressed concern, the Indigenous leaders and reconciliation advocates see the decisions differently. The First Nations Leadership Council released a statement calling Mayor Brodie's comments disturbing, emphasizing that Aboriginal title and fee simple ownership can and do coexist. They argue that acknowledging Aboriginal title isn't a threat to property ownership, but rather a necessary recognition of historical truth and a foundation for reconciliation. George Abbott, the Commissioner of BC Treaty Commission, echoed this sentiment, noting that while it's understandable for homeowners to feel uneasy, the long-term solution lies in negotiation and dialogue, not division. His reminder is timely. Reconciliation requires both understanding and patience as British Columbia works to reconcile modern land ownership with Indigenous rights that predate the Crown. So as real estate professionals, this is the part that I wanted to get into, we operate as intersections of people and property, and that means that we as realtors must stay informed on legal and historic shifts that could impact both. So here are the key takeaways. Aboriginal title is a constitutional right, not a new form of claim. It recognizes long-standing Indigenous ownership and stewardships of the land. Private homeowners are not losing their titles at this stage. The ruling directs the Crown to find a resolution and not to revoke private ownership. Appeals are underway, meaning that the decision is not final. The outcome could set national precedents for how Aboriginal title and private ownership coexist. And number 4, knowledge builds trust. So whether speaking with clients or community members, being able to explain this ruling accurately helps reduce fear and misinformation.
Yeah,
so Geoff,
I got kind of a lot of questions. And they might be not the smartest questions, but you know, my first reaction is how did this even ever happen? Like, how can you build 125 homes on land that has been recognized at some part of our Canadian history to be native land, and then all of a sudden it becomes free title somehow, some way, build these homes, and then how is it all of a sudden discovered in 2024 or 2025 that, hey, there's a little bit of a mistake going on here?
Yeah, well,
I'm interested to see what that like the answer on that side of things as well.
Me too. And that is one of the things that I had that I was questioning. How do you, like, that's a huge miss. And as a homeowner, that's why of course the Crown is being forced to find the resolution, because it was the Crown issuing these titles without following the treaty, following the treaty agreements, right? That's why they're now being made to find the resolution and not not these private owners, right? But as a private owner, I'd be extremely upset now, because what I once thought I owned is no longer. Now, as we were saying, like, it's going to go through the appeals process. So this ruling from the BC Supreme Court may not even stand. But if it does, again, this further now, right, this could further, or not further, this could cause a lot of fear when people are purchasing a home and saying, okay, hey, how do I know that this isn't going to change, that this freehold non-strata, this fee simple property, how do I know that this is not going to change in 20 years because they're going to find some mistake was made?
Or what else if they continue to say, hey, like there's 7.5 kilometers here. What else is out there? Like how
Right,
many others are going to be affected?
right.
And from what I think you said is, the crown, it's up to the crown to quote unquote fix this.
Yep,
And from what I understood that you said, one of those solutions is to go to these 120 homeowners and purchase their homes from them,
yep,
and then basically transition this land back to native lease land. And then it sounds like these same homeowners would then go basically have to remortgage or refinance, and then basically, kind of like do a redo, but basically under native lease land, which again can be very, very difficult on the financing side of things for people.
well, that's what I was gonna say, because yes, they were saying it's through negotiation, litigation, or purchase. Those are the ways that they've been told to address this. And so, to your point, right, I was thinking about that. Okay, so who's how are they going to negotiate the price for these properties, right? On
Oh,
the buy?
it'll be fair market value.
Sure, right? But then on the purchase back, right? How how are
I
you
would
going
I would
to?
assume fair market value.
So are they coming out flat? Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. I just it's
I even think on the other side of things, like, that's one part of that pie. But what happens with these homeowners that no longer qualify for what they're looking to do? What
sure.
what what happens to these homeowners where these banks, feel that, hey, we're not comfortable lending on this native lease land because there are parts when we do financing, there are certain native lease lands that lenders will not finance, due
Yeah.
to the sublease and due to the head lease and due to whatever other kind of things are going on there. And it sounds like, they don't even have a head lease or a sublease. So that's even at this point, it's probably non-existent, right?
Right.
So my question even goes to, like, once they figure out the monetary part of it from the crown to the what's the band called?
The Cowichan Nation.
Cowichan Nation. Once that is figured out, which it will, it's a
Yeah.
matter, okay, now this land sounds like it's going to have to go back to native lease land as it originated versus freehold. How does that transition happen with those homeowners, even if their homes get purchased from by the crown? I guess they then have to have they either reapply or they move on. Like that's not fun. That's not
No. And so, just to give an idea of the 7.5 square kilometers that it is. It's the land between number 5 and number 8 road along the north side of the Fraser River.
Yeah. And anybody that basically lives outside of Richmond or the greater Vancouver area is like, what? Where is that?
Sure. Yeah. But for people that live in Richmond, that's like, that are listening, that live in Richmond, that's where it's going. But it's just, yeah. And I'm surprised that it took this long to
Yeah.
sort of come to light as well, in terms of the media attaching itself to it.
And I'm always curious, like, how did that even, number one, how did that even happen? And I think the Crown was saying is that these treaties were established well before the Crown was established or something to that nature. And I could be totally offside with that. But how do you even start something that doesn't belong to you that goes on for, you know, I'm not going to say hundreds of years, but no, you said 1723 or the 1700s. So We're talking hundreds of years. And then all of a sudden, we got 120 homes built as freehold that is actually that's on native land. Wow.
Yeah, 1763 is when the Royal Proclamation, pardon me, acknowledged Aboriginal title. 1763.
But even on,
1905 is when our torrent system, so our current system of registering land titles, right? That's when that started.
but even on the band side, how did that happen even on the band side to allow that to happen and that building to start? Because there's
Well,
also maybe, you know,
we also have to remember, like there, like a lot of times they weren't informed, and the bands weren't informed. Bands didn't have a say in really what went on. That's why we're going through this whole reconciliation period now, and all of that sort of stuff with all the things that we've learned have come to light. Where are unfortunately to the First Nations people, they weren't treated as fairly as they should have been, and and their rights were disregarded, right? So maybe they did know, and they fought and they lost, and it just again was kept under the rug, because again, who heard like this has taken this long to come out, right?
yeah, my uneducated mind in this matter says it's like misplacing something, forgetting that you had it, but it was, and then all of a sudden years later you find it, and you're like, oh yeah, forgot about this.
Yeah,
And now it's like, wow, forgot about this.
yeah.
7.5 kilometers of land, 120 some odd homes. Well, now how are we going to fix this? So
It's
I,
gonna
you know
be,
what?
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm actually very interested. Well, a lot of us are well, actually all of us realtors that know about it are very interested, because again, it's something that if it goes sideways, of course, the media is gonna blow it up, and this is something that we're gonna have to discuss quite a
I'm
bit.
surprised, even though that it's not gone sideways yet. I'm surprised that, I didn't know. This is news to me. I'm surprised that this isn't more newsworthy, because is this is big. Like
Yeah, it's
this is
very
not
big.
about it going sideways. This is like, well, how did this even happen?
Happen.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and how is the crown going to move forward? Because this isn't raw land. This is urban land with 120 some odd homes on it that are affecting, these particular people. But even to your point, now they've made it a town meeting. My mind goes, well, what other pieces could have fallen through those cracks that are native land that were deemed freehold, and where else in Richmond or British Columbia or throughout Canada is this going
That's
to
true.
right?
That's
Like,
actually true. This could reverberate right across Canada, not just have an impact here in British Columbia, right?
yeah. Well, it knocks on a door to say, hey, like, what where else? What else? Because
Hmm.
if this can happen here in Richmond on 7.5 kilometers, there's where
There's a
else?
lot of land out there.
There's a lot of land out there, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it would be much easier if it was raw land, as far as how to
sure.
move forward with it, and I'm sure that would be a total mess. But when you have people that have bought under the assumption of freehold, and now it's going to, I would imagine that this is actually native lease land. Like, how do you actually do that when you have people that have freehold properties that are actually on native lease land? How do you get that money back to the band? How do you get those homes that are on freehold titles onto now native lease land? Like, this is a big mess.
It's a huge mess. Yeah.
And thus, why are we not hearing this more regularly than basically the recent episode that Britney Spears just had?
Right? There you go. There you go. So
Well,
that's it, man. That's my did you know?
Well, this is a little bit of a segue maybe into what I'm going to talk about, and what I wanted to talk about was bridge loans.
Oh, there we go.
So again, bridge loans, as some of us know, is when you are selling your property, you have a firm and binding sale. You are now purchasing a property with a firm and binding purchase, but your purchase is completing before the sale,
Right.
right? So this is when you have to come in and do a bridge loan. And the reason why I wanted to bring this back to people's attention, and I know that we've talked about it before, is that I'm going with this because number one, we are in a environment and in a market where we have a ton of inventory, correct?
Yes, we do.
We are in a market where people are selling their properties, and again, collaterally, they purchase a property. They're either upsizing or downsizing, typically.
Yeah.
And I know on your side of things with the real estate, we're always, or you guys are always getting that conversation. Well, you know what? I'm going to put my market on the sale. I'm going to put my house on the market for sale. I'm going to come in and I want to purchase something. And you know what? We'll just bridge the financing until the property sells.
Sells. Yeah.
And the reality of it is, and this is what I want to make very clear to our listeners, is that, look, it does not work that way. Bridge financing works, and it only works when you have a firm and binding sale of your property with a firm and binding sale or purchase of a purchase property, and that purchase completion date is before the sale of your existing property. That's a bridge. Well, then people will say, Alistair, well, you know what? Well, I'll just buy it and my property is going to sell. So can't we do bridge financing? Again, the simple answer to that, folks, is no, you cannot.
Yeah. And I think that that's one thing, because I know, like, because as a realtor, you hear it often. And I remember the first time somebody ever said that to me very, very early on in my career. And I didn't really know, like, completely how bridge financing worked. But I thought to myself, I don't know. We may want to get that checked out first, because that sounds like it's too easy, too good to be true. And that's just something that now that I've been experiencing in the and in the game, so to speak, for quite a while. I get to pause people and say, hey, hold on. No. Let's discuss that. And the first thing something that you taught me eons ago, it feels like now, but it's, let's make sure your bank can even do that. Let's make sure your lender can do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Alistair, is that, you are educating your clients the correct way.
Yeah.
We are having realtors educating and advising their clients the opposite way. It's like, yeah, let's do that. Yes, you can get a bridge loan while your house is on the market and while you purchase a place, and you can bridge that gap. And what they're failing to tell people is that, yeah, you can bridge that gap. That can happen, but we have to make sure that your property is selling at the same time as you're purchasing, and both sale and purchase are firm and binding.
Right.
That is the piece that's missing, right?
Yeah.
That is the piece that realtors are being confused in when they're relaying what a bridge loan is to their clients, because they have half of it correct. And I've experienced people going through the process of people selling their home, putting it on the market, people then going purchasing a home, firm and binding, the house is still on the market, hasn't been sold, and then all of a sudden coming to us and say, okay, we need to do a bridge loan. And our question at that time is like, okay, fantastic. Have you got a firm and binding sale of the property you currently own? Well, no, it's on the market, but you know what? This thing is going to be completing here in 8 weeks, and we just need a bridge before our property sells. And it's like, who told you this? Like, who's given you direction here? Well, my realtor told me. Well, your realtor unfortunately misinformed you. It does not work that way. And then what a realtor may say is, well, we're going to sell it. Don't worry. The purchase completes in 8 weeks. We're going to sell this. We're going to get a firm and binding sale here shortly. So, we're going to begin. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. Are we talking about the market we're in today? Because this might be a little bit more difficult than you believe. But not only that, is that we can't even approach our lenders to do a bridge loan because you don't have a firm and binding sale. So we can't even meet your condition to finance that you have because you do not have a firm and binding sale. So you cannot even remove your condition of finance because that bridge loan is not in place. You don't have, you have a subject to sale. Like you're not going to meet that condition, right? The lender is not going to bridge a loan unless you have that firm and binding sale. And to your point, Allister, all lenders don't do bridges. So
Yes. I remember you telling me that one story, that one time of that person that went and what was it? They were completing in 2 weeks or something silly like that. And they were like, okay, we're gonna get the bridge loan. And the bank was like, sorry, we don't do that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and again, we had to bridge the gap. We had to find alternate financing for
Yeah.
them, and that financing wasn't ideal. It was private, and which comes with high rates, high fees, but again, came all down to information from the realtor, right?
Yeah.
So here's the other thing too, like what is a bridge loan? Like I said, a bridge loan is going to cover the gap when you are buying and selling, and whatever you're buying is completing before whatever you're selling, and both of them have to be firm and binding. Now, understand that every lender is different in how their bridge loans work, even if they do them, because again, some lenders don't do them. And they will cover that gap for a short term. Can be 1 month, can be 12 months, but again, it all really depends on the lender, right? Um, and really, that's the main piece of information here, because if you can bridge, then the next question is, well, what is this going to cost me? Right? And bridge loaning, again, typically will cost you prime plus 2 to prime plus 4%. There is admin fees, which are anywhere from $200 to $1,500. And then there's extra legal costs, right? So the interest that you're paying also, Allister, is as what they call per diem, right? And per diem means you're paying an interest for every day that you're bridging the loan, right?
Yeah.
So you're paying it on each day, because some bridges might only be 5 days.
Right.
Some bridges, well, to be honest with you, I can't even see a bridge loan being 12 months, because anybody that's purchasing something and selling something, typically that's happening within 3 months is
Yeah.
typically the time frame, right?
Yeah.
So even when we say, a lender is going to go up to 12 months, I might kind of say, well, I might have to retract that, and I'm going to say they may, but typically if you're buying and selling, there's not going to be a 12-month period or a gap in there, right? It's usually days to weeks.
Yeah.
And then again, just again, understand that there's an administration cost to it, up to $1,500. Sometimes it's less. Understand there's extra legal cost to it. And just understand, folks, bridge financing is there pending if a lender does it, pending if you have firm and binding sales and purchases, and pending on how long that gap is. And typically that gap is no longer than 3 months.
Yeah. Because normally when I have clients that are selling their property and then buying another property, right? The way it's done. Well, for me, it's 100% of the time. I haven't actually done a bridge loan, because normally we have it where it's sold, and then we have it so it completes and they get the money in the bank, and then their new purchase, right?
Yeah.
Their new purchase then completes 2 days later, so that we make sure the money is in the bank, right? And everything's set up, and then it goes. So it happens all within a couple days.
I've been doing mortgages for 15 years, and probably on one hand, I can count on how many times we've had to do a bridge loan. So they're not a super common thing. But
The misinformation is common though.
but the conversation
Oh yeah.
is a very common thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, speaking on this soapbox, I just felt it was very important to understand and to make our listeners understand, what exactly is a bridge loan and not being misinformed in what that is. Because again, a lot of us, Allister, we look to find the answers we want.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, looking to find answers that you want when you're being told otherwise, like I have no objection to ask 3 people the same question. But if you're getting the same answer and that answer is not what you want to hear, the likelihood of you flipping that no into a yes is highly unlikely, especially when it comes to bridge financing.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you do find that one person after 15 tries that gives you a yes, chances are it's illegal.
Well, no.
Well,
Because
that's
there are private lenders that will.
No, sure. But
do it,
then,
right?
but to your point, then you're paying like an arm and a leg, and that's what I'm saying. Like you don't like then you're it's crazy. Like you're finding different.
There are financing solutions
Sure.
if that is to happen.
Yeah.
But again, it's not at the sharpest rate. It's
Right.
at the lowest cost. It's
Right.
at premium rate at a premium cost. But yes, it can still be done, but preferably not going to benefit you, the borrower.
Well, that's what I mean. And that borrower is then saying that those rates that they're having to pay are criminal.
Well, they feel criminal. They're
They
not
feel criminal because they're
but they
high.
feel criminal.
You're getting paid. You're getting paid for your emergency. You're paying for your emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're in that emergency and you only have one option, and that one option is going to prevent a disaster, you have really no choice
No
but
choice.
to do it. So,
Yeah.
Again, misinformation can cost you a lot of money coming out of your pocket. So folks, just make sure that you're very informed when it comes down to bridge financing. And the reality of it is, this is all you really need to know. If you don't have a firm and binding sale of your existing property, regardless if you have a firm and binding purchase, again, with a conventional lender or a bank or a credit union or a monoline lender, whatever you want to call them, it will not be done. Can it be done? Yes. But that's going to be with a private lender, and it's going to cost you lots.
Yes. And that is again why Geoff and I say it's so important to have that power team that you can trust and that you know is informed and is going to instruct you, direct you, not instruct you, but direct you the right way, educate you the right way. Because again, the misinformation that they may provide can cost you a lot or cause you a lot of pain.
I like the word advise.
Advise.
There's a saying in our industry: brokers advise, clients instruct. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we can advise you and we can educate you so you can make the best decision for you, then we have done our job, providing that information is correct.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Geoff, for tagging on to my X factor, which is empower, advise, and represent. Because that's exactly what it is, right? Empower you with the knowledge, advise you with the best information possibly, and represent you vigorously, right? So, and that's the only way and that's the way that anybody's power team should be working for you.
And I always say, like, in our businesses, realtors, and my numbers could be off here a little bit, 25,000 realtors just in the greater Vancouver area that people can choose from. Mortgage brokers, 18,000 mortgage brokers here in Canada. The reality of it, though, is that a large percentage of brokers, a large percentage of realtors are not equipped well enough to basically give sound advice and sound direction, right?
Yeah.
So I always say work with those people that are in the top 1% of their industry, even the top 5% of their industry. Make sure you do your due diligence on your chosen realtor or your chosen broker. Everybody knows somebody, right? But maybe that somebody isn't the right somebody for you.
This is why you should be interviewing. interview the people that will be representing you.
Yes.
Get the answers to the questions know the answers to the questions that you're going to be asking them, and then test them. But that's why it's so important to not just take anybody that even your friend might have used and thinks that they're awesome, because you know what, maybe your friend didn't know that they weren't that educated, got lucky, and slipped through and was able to purchase without any problems. But your situation might be different, and might need a little bit more understanding. And if that person representing you, pardon me, doesn't have that understanding, again, you could be in for some problems. So just make sure you know who you're hiring, because remember, we work for you. Bothers me when realtors have the attitude that their clients work for them. That's not true. We work for you.
Wrong.
You are our boss. So
yep.
Amazing, my man. Well, that was good. That was good. Thank you all for spending time with us and listening to us today. We hope we kept you warm. We hope you have an amazing, stay dry this weekend. You know what? It's supposed to be a crazy weekend across Canada, right? So we are supposed to have rain all this weekend. None of it. I will have none of it. I'm stealing my wife's joke, by the way, right there. She's going to say, "You're stealing my joke." But none of it.
I thought you were giving a shout out to the none of it.
No, they are going to have blizzards this weekend. They're going to have a blizzard this weekend. Eastern Canada is supposed to see some rain and balmy weather. But let me tell you, Winnipeg and Regina and Saskatoon, they will be 19 degrees and sunny.
Nice.
So yeah, shout out to them and their good weather.
I think they call that reverse osmosis.
About that.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I put snow tires on my truck this week, so I'm ready to go.
Get prepared. So everybody, stay dry. Have an amazing weekend. We will be back here with you for episode 75. Continue to love, like us, and share us. Tell everybody you know about us. And in the meantime, most importantly, stay empowered, stay informed. I was putting those two together. Most importantly, Geoff,
stay tuned.
That's right, baby. Stay tuned. Peace out.